What is up, my dudes? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're at my house, so welcome. And basically I want to run you through generally strategies surrounding peri-workout nutrition. So what we do pre, intra, post training, and then let you get some insight on what I am currently doing now. Now bear in mind, 5 weeks out, so food is low. But I'm going to give you some ballpark, estimations and recommendations that you can utilize, whether you're dieting, whether you're in your off season, you're trying to add muscle, and then show you the specifics of what I'm doing and how that changes a little bit closer to a show when food is low. Quick caveat that's really, really important, which is that peri-workout nutrition, definitely important, definitely helpful, definitely beneficial. However, it is to some extent an advanced technique, and the foundation of everything we do is consistency, right? So if you are not implementing your plan, if you're not just hitting your calories, hitting your macros, training at a high level, this doesn't matter. This is icing on the cake. That's called foreshadowing, by the way. You'll see why later. All right, so the basic premise here is that managing what you're eating and managing the quantities in which you're eating it around the workout can certainly enhance, number one, training performance, which is super important. Obviously in a building phase, we want training performance to be as high as possible so that we can, accumulate load, accumulate reps, accumulate performance, and therefore build new tissue. In a fat loss phase, the same logic goes to maintain as much tissue as possible. And then obviously post-workout, facilitating recovery and glycogen storage, so on and so forth. So the general idea here and recommendations that I'll give to my clients: protein will be distributed pretty evenly throughout the day, equally divided amongst all your meals. The main variable that's going to change here is going to be your carbohydrate source. Now, the pre-workout meal I'm going to be using does contain oats. So that's why I'm showing you this right now, but it doesn't necessarily have to be oats. Generally, I would recommend, slightly faster digesting carbohydrate source, maybe something like a cream of rice. But because food is low, I am really kind of focusing on satiety at the moment. So the general recommendations would be anywhere around 35 to 50% of your total carbohydrate intake around the workout. Okay, so for example, if you're eating 300 grams of carbs a day, you want to divide that in half, 150 grams, and have, let's say 60 grams pre-workout, 60 grams post-workout, and maybe 15 grams intra-workout from a fast digesting carbohydrate source from, whichever supplement company you so choose. At the moment, my pre-workout consists of what I call a cinnamon pumpkin oat cake that I use with the SSA whey isolate. Now, the reason why I use the whey isolate is because in a fat loss phase, this basically contains 0 carbs and 0 fat. So it's a little bit cleaner. It allows me to eat a little bit more food, and I'm not getting trace carbs and fats from my protein powder. And then I will add a very, very small amount of almond butter just for some healthy fats. This can, if you want to get scientific about it, slow the release of glucose into the bloodstream, so you have kind of more sustained energy throughout the workout. With the fiber that you're getting from the oats, that's going to add to that. And when food is low and energy is sparse, that can be a really helpful strategy. All right, my favorite pre-workout meal that you can make in 5 minutes. Here we go. This is a oat pumpkin cinnamon spice cake with whey drizzle on top. So based on my needs at the moment, which is low carbohydrates, low calories in general, I put about 30 grams of these Tony Ferguson rolled oats into my NutriBullet blender. Essentially, I'm just shooting for making an oat flour here. So we're just blending it up, right? Now, I like cinnamon. I like everything cinnamon. So I add about 5 to 8 grams of cinnamon here, depending on exactly how I feel for the day. All right. And then guys, because I'm in contest prep, food is low, fiber is very, very important for me for digestive health and satiety. So I add about 2 to 3 grams of the psyllium fiber in here, just along with the oats and the cinnamon. And then I basically just blend that up into a fine flour, all right, in my NutriBullet, which takes a few seconds. And there we have the very simple base of the recipe, which I just empty into the dish like this. All right. Then the surprise ingredient here is pumpkin. This just adds to the texture, and I just use these frozen pumpkin chunks. At the moment I'm using about 30 grams. It's actually, you know, pumpkin is actually really good and it's pretty low carb. It helps to keep the calories down. We just defrost that in the microwave around about a minute or so. And ultimately that is mashed up and then mixed into this powder over here. Alright guys, so basically once that's defrosted, I just mash up this pumpkin. I'm not like too serious about it because we're going to be adding some liquid to it anyway. Sometimes with these frozen pumpkin chunks you get like one chunk that just refuses to mash, but generally it works out pretty well. Then I just add the mashed pumpkin to this little blend over here. Alrighty, and I throw in just a little bit of almond milk. I do measure it out, so obviously even the minimal amounts of macros in there I can track. You have to be cautious with this because basically you want it to come out like a cake batter. So you don't want to add too much, rather add too little and have to add more than add too much and then you can't take it out. So I just kind of mash it around and I look for the consistency that I know we're looking for. It's just kind of like a thick cake batter kind of thing. Alrighty, so this looks like we're pretty much approaching that level. Alright, one thing I forgot, baking powder. If we don't add that, it ain't gonna rise. So just literally the tip of a teaspoon like that, right in there. And we just mix that in with everything else. Can we get this like pasty mixture going? I just cover the kind of surface area of the bowl, I would say. And then I pop this in the microwave for about 2 to 2.5 minutes. Alrighty, now the most important part of the recipe and where things can go horribly wrong is the frosting, which I make from the SSA whey isolate. Now I use 30 grams of this, which is essentially 2 scoops, giving you about, I believe, 26 grams of protein, 26.3 to be exact. And you have to add just enough water to this to make it super thick and kind of like cake frosting. But you have to go slow, because if you don't go slow, then it's just going to be water. So you add a little bit of water at a time, and you just stir that in and watch how it develops, just a little bit at a time. And you'll see how this starts to come to life, right? You need a little bit more. Once again, like with the oats, rather add too little and add more than add too much and you can't take it out. Now you can see this is what we need. There we go. So we mix that around, make sure to get all the powder in.
Smells good.
It smells amazing. It smells amazing. It smells like freaking vanilla cake batter, bro. All right, there we go. So the frosting is made. Boom. And I just kind of glance in the microwave to see how it's doing. It looks like it's pretty much baked right now. So then I take it out. Doesn't look super appetizing like this, but the consistency is really good. And then what we do is we just drip this whey frosting over the top. You're not gonna get all of it, so to make sure that you get your protein in, just like freaking lick the bowl or something. I just eat it out the bowl, but then I spread it around like this. And generally for a little bit of extra flavor, what I'll do then is take whatever Carb Smart syrup I like, strawberry, salted caramel, there are a whole bunch of good ones, and I just drizzle that on top. But obviously you can amend this to whatever your macros are, whatever your requirements are, just with changes in terms of the serving size. Mine's pretty low. I would estimate that this is probably somewhere around 22, 23 carb, probably like 3 to 4 grams of fat and about 35 grams of protein. All right guys, so after the pre-workout meal, and this can be depending on where you are. Like if you're eating a lot of food volume is high, maybe your pre-workout meal 90 minutes before you train. For me, it's something like 30 to 40 minutes before I train, because this is gonna digest very, very quickly, and I'm pretty much good to go and ready to train. So what I will do then, right now, like I discussed in my last vlog, I am being fairly conservative with stimulants. So while I was using the Hellfire Black, I've switched over to the Organic F Pump, which is a little bit more strength, performance based, a little bit lower on the stimulants. So I'll take that round about 20 to 25 minutes before I train. But intra-workout is actually the really interesting one. So essential amino acids, that is something that I utilize contest prep, I utilize it off season. Really, this is an insurance policy. It's making sure that you have free-form amino acids in your bloodstream available to essentially protect against muscle loss and aid in some muscle protein synthesis. The game changer for me though, particularly during prep, has been the electrolyte sachets. So this is sodium, magnesium, potassium. It comes in a little 3-gram sachet. And as you know, when you are in a contest prep, micronutrients are going to be low, electrolytes are going to be low. This just absolutely makes sure that you are not depleted in these electrolytes. You are getting the most out of your training sessions. You're not cramping, you're not fatiguing early, and you are getting a sick ass pump with this as well. Now, most of the time, as most of my clients will know, I will recommend that you take a small amount of carbohydrates, somewhere around 10% of your total daily intake during training, from a carbohydrate powder. My friends at SSA have a product that I usually recommend called Creasize, with added creatine, fast digesting carbs, etc. I'm not utilizing that right now because my carbs are sitting at like 110 grams a day, and I want to eat as many of those bad boys as I possibly can. So that's not being used at the moment. Essentially just the aminos and the electrolytes, and then my carbohydrates pre and post workout. Okay, so post workout, once again, super easy, super simple. And guys, I do it this way just because of time management. I get back from the gym, I need to get to work as soon as possible, get onto my check-ins, get onto client calls, etc. So this is a matter of convenience and preference more than anything else, but it also tastes freaking good. Now, what I'm doing is making a protein mug cake, okay? Now, I used to make this with cream of rice, but what I found out, if I use this snowflake flapjack mix, which is remarkably low in fat, so it controls that pretty easily, I can basically get the same macros, but much better consistency on this, all right? With this, you're gonna need some baking powder, as with the oat cake, just to help it rise, okay? And generally, I will use this premium whey in the mug cake because of the consistency. So this is the one time of the day that I use the premium whey. Once again, just to let you guys know, it's just a slight difference in terms of the carbohydrate and fat content. I'm only using the iso whey during prep to control that. But generally speaking, these isolates, SSA isolate, very good, but the concentrate or the blend does have a better texture. So when you're baking something that is essentially resembling a cake, you want the texture to be good, and this is a taste thing more than anything else. So essentially what I do here is mix up 20 grams of this flapjack mix, a tip of a teaspoon of the baking powder, around about half a teaspoon of this sugar-free white hot chocolate from Lifestyle Foods, and then 45 grams of the premium whey from SSA. My favorite post-workout meal to make in under 5 minutes. However, realistically, you can have this any time of the day and you're going to want to have it, okay? So the base of this used to be cream of rice, like I said, but I started using the snowflake flapjack mix, low fat, easy to use, much better texture. So at the moment, once again, you can fit this into your specifications and your macros. I use at the moment about 35 grams of this as a base, okay? So there we got it, 35 grams. Then in there, as opposed to the oat cake where I use the whey as a topping, I add in 30 grams of the premium whey to this. Once again, it's going to be about 2 scoops. All right. 2 scoops of that. And then your boy needs a teaspoon. Again, essential ingredients. It's a cake. We need it to rise. So baking powder, tip of a teaspoon. All right. And secret ingredient here, lifestyle food, sugar-free white hot chocolate. I just added very, very small amounts of this, maybe half a teaspoon, just for extra flavor. All right. And then, very similarly to making the whey drizzle, making that frosting, we just need to add in some water, but take it super slow because the consistency of this is incredibly important. It needs to be thick, 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 like cake batter, right? So we just mix it in super slowly, add in as much water as you need, not too much. You don't want it to turn into liquid. You want it to turn into like a paste almost. All right, so we can see that it's approaching that level. Keep the faith, have the trust. There we go. That is the kind of consistency that you're looking for. And you can smell that, and it literally smells like cake batter. All right. Microwave. Now, I like it a little bit gooey, so I don't put it in for too long. This is gonna go in for like 25 seconds, guys. Super, super quick. 25 seconds, boom. And here we have it. So you can see what that end result looks like. Now, if you wanted it a little bit firmer, a little bit more like cake texture, you can just put it in for an extra 10 seconds. But I like the texture like this. Then what you want to do, if you want some extra fats, you can drizzle some almond butter on top of that. Right now I'm having it no fat, no almond butter for me. But once again, for extra flavor, I use the vanilla protein. I use some of the Carb Smart chocolate syrup on the mug cake. And then generally what I'll do based on my carbohydrate requirements and just for some good micronutrients is I'll usually put some frozen blueberries on the top of that as well. But I want Joel to give it a taste just as it is right now.
As it is.
As it is.
Okay, this is fun.
Joel trying the mud cake.
This looks so good. Is this like a vanilla mud cake?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my god.
That's good, right?
Just melt in your mouth.
Yeah. The texture's good, right?
Consistent.
It's because of that.
Don't pay me to say that. I'm being truthful.
Nah, dude, this shit is good.
Let me see one more. That's good. It's all in my mouth.
Yeah, and that's basically the premise, guys. So remember, there's nothing magical about Peri workout nutrition. There's nothing magical about what you're doing pre and post workout. Once again, just to reiterate here, you know, these guidelines will be to fit to your specifications, regardless of what your macros are. Because I am deep in prep and food is low, I'm not really sticking by those guidelines. I'm going more by something whereby compliance is going to be high. So carbohydrates are pretty much evenly spread through most of my meals, albeit the fact that each of those meals are low. But as those numbers go up over time and you can make more of a priority of bracketing your workouts with sufficient carbohydrates for training performance and recovery, those guidelines remain. So around about 50%, I would say 40 to 50% of total daily carbs around the workout. And there is nothing magical about these foods. These are literally just foods that I enjoy. They're recipes that I've discovered that are quick, efficient, and taste good. And that's really what it's about, is, you know, finding what works for you, finding what's going to be sustainable for you, you know, especially for all you corporate guys out there, parents, etc., that, hey man, I can't prepare my food, it takes too much time, I can't diet. You absolutely can. I literally just prepared 2 meals right now that are delicious, and totality, Joel, less than 10 minutes.
Incredible.
For 2 meals, easy. And what's more is I could probably eat these meals like 6 times a day very easily and not get sick of them. All right, guys, so if you love this video and you love these recipes, and you guys love the last videos as well. I've been seeing the views that I've been seeing, the likes that I've been seeing, the comments, but you ain't subscribing. Support your friend, okay? Build a South African YouTube channel. Put us on the map, guys. Let's do this thing. Click that button, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for tuning in.